The floods have meanwhile accused the Accra Metropolitan Assembly of negligence. The governing National Democratic Congress says it plans to adore its manifesto next month.
And in business, the Bank of Ghana has hinted of plans to revise current rules for electronic transactions in the country, also known as the Electronic Money Issuers Guidelines.
And Coalition of Domestic Election Observers says about 139 centers in the recent limited voter registration exercise may have allowed unqualified persons onto the roll. There'll be sports, entertainment and Joy News Interactive in this bulletin, which is also available across Europe on London-based ABN television. Stay tuned. President Mahama has hailed the contribution of the ongoing dredging of the Korle Lagoon in minimizing the impact of Thursday's rains in Accra. The downpour resulted in flooding of some homes and offices, causing widespread destruction. The president was addressing party members at a ceremony in Accra to commemorate the NDC's 24th anniversary. Says the impact of the floods could have been worse had government not made efforts at desilting many of the drains.
We are still faced with major challenges. Just yesterday, we were faced with floods almost a little 1 year after the anniversary of the June 3rd flood and fire disaster. Flooding is a natural occurrence and it is being exacerbated by climate change. Rainfall has become erratic and sometimes falls in significant quantities in a very short period of time. Yesterday in Accra, in parts of Accra, 184.2 millimeters of rain fell within the period that we had the downpour. Much work still needs to be done. We have removed 487,000 tons of silt from the drains in Accra. And I believe that if we had not removed as much silt, the flooding that happened yesterday would have been even worse than it was. But we must continue to work to minimize the incidence of flooding. And I wish to assure you that government has a commitment to do that. And let me also point out that human attitudes and human activities continue to exacerbate the phenomenon of flooding. And so we must not give up on our determination and effort to continue to educate and create awareness of our people that the drains that exist are not meant for dumping garbage. They are meant as storm drains so that when rain falls, the water will be able to flow out of our communities. Various suggestions have come as to how we can ease the pressure on Accra. Accra's population is estimated to have exceeded the 4 million mark. And so we'll continue to appraise these suggestions and see whether these are not alternatives that we can look at so that we ease the perennial flooding and congestion that Accra is subjected to.
Now, meanwhile, the silting of channels carrying drainage water into the main Odo River is being blamed for Thursday's floods in Accra. A hydro engineer with the National Disaster Management Organization, Engineer WEIJA, told a delegation of government officials which toured affected areas most of the channels are choked. Joy News' Joseph Akable was with the team and filed this report.
The team comprising Minister for Local Government Collins Dauda, Minister for Environment and Natural Resources Mahama Yariga, National Coordinator for NADMO Brigadier General Francis Vibsanziri, and the Interior Minister visited Kwame Nkrumah Circle, Adabraka, and the Ordona Market. Hydro engineer with NADMO WEIJA Ametepe, who was a member of the committee formed after the June 3 flood and fire disaster, said Thursday's flooding could have been worse if not for the continuous dredging of the Odo drain.
I should be happy to say that the Odo itself did not overflow its bank. Odo got to the brim, but then it prevented those inlet channels, those channels that bring water into the main Odo, prevented them from getting direct access. So all the streams then now build up and started to have backflow. In the process, they spilled over and got to the circle and flooded the circle area. This was the cause of the flooding of the Odo yesterday, unlike the previous years when the Odo itself had to spill over its banks. But yesterday, because of the activities of the works that have been done in the Odo by the desilting and so on, the Odo could not spill over, but rather the spilling back by the tributaries.
Minister for the Interior, Prosper Bani, said the process of re-engineering the drains in Accra was a continuous process, urging citizens to engage in good waste management practices.
They have to change their attitude towards dumping waste everywhere and anywhere at any time. And once we get together, flooding, whilst floods will occur, we will continue to minimize the effect on floods, on our citizens and on property. Now, we are experiencing heavy infrastructure development at SASHIEME. There is no way that when we have heavy downpours, we will not have elements of flooding at places. But once this project is completed, the drainage will be done, and flooding, as they will come, will be effectively and efficiently managed. We need to take our time to address this. It's not because there was a heavy rainfall yesterday, therefore we should go into a knee-jerk reaction to begin to address everything. There's a system going on. They are doing some assessment. We will address the issues one at a time.
Some traders at the Ordona market were, however, not enthused about government officials' visit. I'm saying it's an annual ritual.
All our things have been destroyed. The water took our things away, so we are pleading that they come and put things in good shape. We want the gutter to be enlarged. Each time it rains, the water doesn't have enough space to flow.
Thursday's rains left many settlements in low-lying areas flooded. For Joy News, Joseph Akabli.
Elsewhere, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has coming for blame for Thursday's floods, which caused widespread destruction in some parts of the capital. Residents of Adabrakai and other suburbs near the Odo drain at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle accused the Assembly of ignoring calls to repair a vital drain installation that helps to control flooding. The residents whose homes and property were destroyed say the situation could have been averted or minimized had the Assembly heeded their calls.
The residents were dislodging water that had found its way into their rooms following yesterday's floods. Others pointed to key installations in the drainage system they said was abandoned in its broken state after parts of it was demolished last year following the June 3 floods. There was a taxi lodged in the drain, which if not removed was likely to impede the flow of water in the event of another downpour.
In the afternoon yesterday, but when we saw it, we thought it was this in a private car. It's this morning that we've seen that it's a taxi. And then yesterday too, those who were removing certain plywood and other things from there, they saw another taxi there, but today we cannot see it there.
One of the officials working on the drainage system says he was only recently brought on and so could not speak to what happened last year with regards to the partial demolition. It's not our fault because it's the time they gave us the contract. They gave us the contract just about last week. For now, all of the job that we have done, fixing the iron rods and then laying the concrete, has all been destroyed. Residents are anxious they may be hit with another wave of destruction in the next downpour, considering there is very little that could be done about the situation before the next rain.
Now, the Conti project is the one initiative which authorities believed would be the solution to Accra's perennial flooding problem. According to its design, the project would see to the construction of larger drains to efficiently channel runoff water from the low-lying areas of the city into the main Odor drain and onwards into the sea. Joining us is Raymond Akwa reports. 3 years after work was supposed to have started, not much has been done, leaving Accra to endure its age-old nemesis.
The Accra Sanitary Sewer and Stormwater Alleviation Project was approved by Parliament in December 2012 to tackle perennial flooding in Accra. President John Dramani Mahama did the groundbreaking for the commencement of work on the project in January 2013. The US-based Conti Group was to pre-finance the project, which is expected to cost over $663 million. The project, which was originally designed to be in 4 stages, had to be redesigned to fit a 2-phase budget, expected to be completed within 5 years. The first phase comprised the cleaning and excavating of 150,000 meters of channels within 9 months from the start of the project in January 2013. Some of the major drains which were designated to be tackled under this first phase was the Korle Lagoon Interceptor Area, Central Business Drainage, and the Odor Channel. By the Accra Mayor's own estimation, as far as the dredging is concerned, only a fraction of the work has been done. Alfred Okovandapo, who was speaking at the memorial service for the June 3 disaster victims, did not, however, ascribe the work done to the Conti project.
It is important to note that after June 3rd, 420,000 metric tons of silt have been dredged out of the Korle Lagoon. And let me set the record straight that represents about 45% of the work that needs to be done in the Korle Lagoon and the Odor River. I heard this morning of a figure of 30%, and I must report that it's about 45%. That work is constantly ongoing. We have 3 dredges sitting in the Korle and the Odor River, constantly working 24 hours.
The second phase of the Conti project, which was expected to start in December 2014, comprised a 15 kilometers storm sewer works and combination sewer works. Also, 6 kilometers of priority drains, which would include the Mataiko, Mamponse, South Kaneshi, and Odona drains, would be rehabilitated. That aspect of the work may probably never see the light of day, as funding has been cited as a constraint. The finance minister about a year ago said though the term sheet covering the multi-million-dollar loan facility on the project has received parliamentary approval, disbursement of the funds by the U.S. Exim Bank has stalled. This, according to him, is because of the variations made to the original project plan and scope. Accra's residents are, however, hopeful that a solution will be found one way or the other so they can live their lives without worrying about the threat from floods each time there is a downpour.
We're taking a break on Joy News Prime, but we'll be back with more news on the way. The Ghana Water Company Limited is asking residents who live in and around WEIJA to evacuate their homes following the spillage of the WEIJA Dam. The company says spilling excess water is the only way to prevent a possible collapse of the dam. My colleague Patricia Gasu has been visiting some communities that will be affected by the action and reports while some residents are relocating to higher ground, others seem unperturbed.
The Ghana Water Company has warned residents of WEIJA that there will be a massive flooding following the opening of the floodgates of the WEIJA Dam. This, they said, have been necessitated by the onset of the rains, which is causing the level of the WEIJA Dam to rise. So as you can see behind me, one gate has been opened. They had to do this to prevent a possible breakdown of the dam. So you can see that the whole area is flooded. the water level here is also rising bit by bit. When the second gate is open, I believe this whole place will disappear. The only way for them to move to the other side is by canoe.
Actually, this is what I do to help the school children. Okay. Yeah.
So anytime they spill the dam, you have to be available to transport them to the other side?
Yes. Yes. I have to be here and transport them to the other side. Okay. Yeah. That's what we do here. The people came here to come and tell us that they will come and give us a life jacket to the school children. But we have waited it for ever since. We didn't get that thing. So we are praying that if you people can do that thing for us, I'll be happy.
Actually, we are planning to move out today.
Okay, to where?
To a new location.
Are you normally affected anytime the two gates are open?
No, it's not good car because it's very risky if they open that two gates. It's very risky. I don't know what it's about, but then the government should come in aid. It's very risky. Even one day, much more of the people have been risking their life over here if they open the water like this. I have my family here. Okay. And I have children around my house and stuff, but if they open the water like that, it's very, very, very risky.
The Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, says about 139 centers in the recent limited voter registration exercise by the Electoral Commission registered what it suspects to be unqualified persons. CODEO made this known in its final report on the observation of the registration exercise and pointed out that its observers reported instances of registration of such alleged unqualified persons like minors, foreigners, and people who were not from the communities in which they registered. According to the coalition, five regions, including the Northern and Ashanti regions, were involved. The Northern region recorded 30 cases, Ashanti 23 cases, Volta 22 cases, Brunhafo 18 cases, and Western region 17 cases. The coalition stated in the report released by its national coordinator, Albert Ahin. CODEO observers also reported finding monitors from the EC visiting 77% of the registration centers and observed the registration of suspected unqualified persons. Now, Mr. Albert Ahin joins me on the line right now to tell us more about their observations in the latest or in the recent limited voter registration exercise. Good evening to you, Mr. Ahin. Hello, good evening, Mr. Ahin.
Good evening. Except that your voice is low.
Hello, Mr. Ahin.
Yes, you have a low voice.
All right, we would have to work on that so we can make sure Mr. Ahin can hear us clearly. Good evening, Mr. Ahin, once again. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I think it's good.
All right, thank you. So you were talking about these observations that you've listed in the statement that you put out. You say that about 139 centers you observed that there were, or 139 centers may have registered unqualified persons. Can you please explain that?
You're talking about the suspected unqualified persons?
Yes.
Yeah, we are saying that our observers reported several instances of people who were suspected to be unqualified. And we also said that we reported of minors registered and foreigners. And again, people who did not hail from the community.
All right. You're saying that you suspect that they will be unqualified. Was that enough grounds for you to probably maybe challenge them, or these observers of yours to probably raise a challenge?
Yeah. Please come again.
I'm asking, if you're saying that you suspect that they may have been unqualified, it means that they probably are not unqualified.
Yeah, they are not qualified. You know, we are saying that our people who were sent to the field saw these infractions. They were subjective views coming from the observers. We were talking about seeing minors, They're talking about seeing the category of people that I've talked about.
All right.
And they are saying that these kinds of registrations generated a lot of controversy and heated exchange among the parties from the opposite side. Once these miners came, there was a lot of controversy from opposing sides, people who saw them also to be miners, just like our people also saw them. And these were challenged. Many of the instances these were challenged. And of course, they went through the appropriate means by filling the challenge form. But they again are saying that some of them were challenged. That's the report that we have.
All right, so these 139 centers you're talking about, do you have a figure of the number of people who were involved in this, the number of registrants?
No, they were talking about several people who went through this. Remember, we are talking about centers, registration centers. And for each center, I'm sure a number of people might have gone through this kind of center we are talking about. For every center, we have maybe minors. We may have had the foreigners coming in, especially along the border. And we may have had people who were unqualified, especially some of them who maybe may not even have had they didn't go through the eligibility process. You remember at a point in time, we were also talking about the fact that some were giving or having national health insurance certificate and death certificate. These were not the forms that were to be provided so far as CI-91 is concerned.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Albert Ahin. Mr. Albert Ahin is the National Coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. Now, in other news, a general jurisdiction court has dismissed a suit brought against the New Patriotic Party's Tema West parliamentary nominee Carlos ACCRA by some party members in the constituency. The plaintiffs, Nana Yawin and Christian Joseph, wanted a rerun of the election in the Tema West constituency. They argued in their suit that Mr. ACCRA was allowed to contest the primary contrary to a directive by the National Executive Committee of the NPP that only indigents be allowed to contest Ga Adangbe constituencies, especially those along the coast. They cited a case in law, the Supreme Court decision in the case of Benjamin Eyi Mensah versus the Electoral Commission and ANO, dated February 27, 2015, to argue that Carlos ACCRA was not a registered voter of the Tema West constituency at the time he contested the NPP's parliamentary primaries in the Tema West constituency. Thus, his election should be declared null, void, and of no effect. But in her judgment, Justice Novisi Ayine said Carlos ACCRA legally transferred his vote from Tema Central to Tema West. Therefore, the plaintiff's argument in that regard does not hold. Justice Ayine, commenting on the second defendant, said the NPP was fair in how it handled the matter. The court also stated that the party did not defy its own constitution and the Constitution of Ghana. We're taking a break on Joy News Prime. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. The National Democratic Congress is planning to outdoor its manifesto for the 2016 elections next month. President Mahama announced on Friday the party had finished putting together the manifesto. Contrary to assertions, it was waiting to steal ideas from rival parties. The campaign manager of the New Patriotic Party recently said they would not be pressured to release the manifesto first to avoid a repeat of what happened in 2012 when, according to them, the NDC stole their major idea. Speaking at a ceremony in Accra to mark the NDC's 24th anniversary, President Mahama said the NDC is not afraid to reveal its plans for the country should it win another term.
The NDC has a most formidable and impressive and unassailable record, which stands us in good stead to win the mandate of the sovereign people of Ghana once again with the help of God. And I want to give an assurance not only to our founding father, based on what he said, but to the whole nation, that NDC shall not be responsible for any violence or any disruption of the election of November 2016. If there will be any violence or disruption of the election, it will not come from the NDC. It will come from some other political party. And I hope that all parties in this country will make a commitment that we shall play by the rules to ensure that we have a free, fair, and transparent election. And I'm confident that if we have a free, fair, and transparent election, by the grace of God, inshallah, NDC will emerge victorious once again. Our manifesto, which contains a detailed blueprint on this, will soon be launched, and will take the opportunity to engage Ghanaians in a conversation around the manifesto to foster greater understanding and insight into exactly what we have to offer them. We as a party are not going to say we won't launch our manifesto because we are afraid somebody will copy it. Our ideas are original, and we will launch our manifesto, and if anybody wants, they can copy the manifesto. Our campaign will be based on the issues that matter most to our people. We will not threaten our way into power, neither shall we make unwarranted attacks on critical state institutions like the Electoral Commission. We will surrender completely to the will of the Ghanaian people in whom sovereignty resides. And we shall not say anything or act in any way that will jeopardize the security of this nation.
Founder and former President Jerry John Rawlings says the NDC must learn to tolerate opposing views, urging party faithful to be decorous as the election season approaches.
It's an election year, as we all know, and the media is awash with political rhetoric. Naturally, the incumbent government must be feeling the heat of the criticism, being the party facing critical assessment from the electorate, including myself, and an opposition that is feeling justified and hungry to unseat the NDC. Ladies and gentlemen, tempers may rise and angry words exchanged, but the NDC must not allow its desire to stay in power to compel its leaders at various levels to descend into the gutters and contribute to an atmosphere of insecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to accept criticism in good faith and recognize the fact that criticism is quite often the best form of praise. It offers you an opportunity to assess your weakness and better appreciate how others perceive you. Today, it is not uncommon for there to be multiple and contradictory responses from government officials to allegations against the government or party. The NDC will have to lead all of us involved in the quest for power in ensuring that this year's election is concluded in an atmosphere of transparency. Ensuring free and fair elections devoid of unfortunate incidents will be a huge plus and credit to the NDC.
The New Patriotic Party in the Upper East region is accusing President John Mahama of neglecting the region despite the numerous campaign promises he made to the people before the 2012 elections. At a news conference in Bogatanga on Friday, the NPP said the president refused to visit the region during his recent Accounting to the People tour because there was no projects for him to commission as he did in the other regions. Upper East correspondent Albert Sori sent in the following report.
At a press conference organized by the Upper East Regional Executive of the New Patriotic Party, the party accused President John Mahama of campaigning largely based on his northern descent and false promises in the run-up to the last election. They said the Upper East region has not seen any major developmental projects in the 7.5-year rule of the NDC government, despite numerous promises. Upper East Regional Chairman of the NPP, Mohammed Murtala Ibrahim, addressed the media.
We wish to use this opportunity to remind President Mahama and the NDC of some of the major electoral promises they made to the people of Upper East Region in the run-off to 2012 general election, in case they are forgotten, because as we speak, none has been fulfilled. It is mind-boggling to note that Upper East Region has not been seen any major developmental projects throughout the 7.5 years rule of the NDC government.
Acting General Secretary of the NPP, John Boydu, and the NPP parliamentary candidate for Bolga Central, Rex Asanga, were equally unhappy.
The major issues that is affecting everybody in this country. So in an attempt to try to create an impression that he's doing something, that's why you see some of these phantom companies and factories that are not viable, that the impression is created as if it's been put on stream. I think that this is clear and sheer propaganda that we don't have to allow. And I think that it's important that this thing come out for people not only in Upper East Region, but throughout the country to know that all those projects that were touted are not in existence and are not viable and are not operating.
For me, if the president promises, we want to take the president very seriously. If a president opens his mouth and says, I will do this, I want to take him seriously because he's the first gentleman of the land. So for him to have told us that there was going to be a regional hospital, and in fact, because of that, we are not happy. The people of Sirigu, the people of Ngo are not happy with us because we have come to deceive them. We've come to promise that, look, they should give us land. We have come to ask for land for a project, and then later on now we don't know what to tell the community, those two communities.
Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the press conference, Acting General Secretary of the NPP touched on issues of the Voters Register and the Electoral Commission.
This year's campaign is a retail campaign. It's a campaign that will obviously be looking at the voter and looking at the concerns of the voter and making sure that the concerns of the voter is addressed. And that in itself will be the basis for the voter to vote for the new patriotic party. So as we speak now, the Electoral Commission has not come out again. All that they are considering now, I'm told that they've sent letters to districts party to have die-pack meetings with them, and their concern is about continuous registration, adding on to the difficulties that we have. Yes.
He also defended the comments made earlier this week by NPP campaign manager Peter McMahon that the NPP will declare results of this year's presidential elections.
We're taking a break. After that, we'll bring you international news. Right, so what's coming up on Joy News Interactive? Gladys O'Reilly is here to tell us. Good evening.
Hi, Easy. Good evening. Guess what? So we have the flag bearer of the People's National Convention, Dr. Edward Mahama, who says he will root out corruption if given the opportunity to become the president of Ghana. And do you think that is an achievable target? Well, that is just what we are looking at tonight.
It's one of the political talks in town, so it's realistic. It's possible, but it's not realistic. Thank you.
So there's someone who says not wearing her wedding ring made her marriage stronger. Really? Do you think the ring has any impact on the union called marriage?
Contract and married. I want to remain faithful to each other, and then it's just a sign. But I think it's the personal relationship that matters.
And well, we'll also tell you about comedian Bishop Bob Okala, who is currently laid in state at the Arts Center here in Accra. He was a comedian par excellence, but what do you remember of him? His magnificent hand clock, perhaps? Here is what you have been saying.
Okala was, you know the saying, laughter is the best medicine. Well, he was like a doctor, which cures people, but only through laughter, because with laughter being the best medicine. So he was a very funny person, and I think his works actually was really expiring.
All right, so now we probably should say, by this guy's definition, we should call him Dr. Bishop or Bishop Dr.
Exactly.
Bobo Kala.
Bobo
Yes,
Kala.
yes.
All right, thank you very much. So
Sure.
Gladys will be here with Joy News Interactive in about 30 minutes. But in a bit, we'll bring you the headlines. Right, so a quick look at our top stories at this hour. President Mahama has highlighted the contribution of the ongoing dredging of the Korle Lagoon in minimizing flooding after Thursday's torrential rains in Accra. He says it could have been worse. Some victims of the floods have meanwhile accused the Accra Metropolitan Assembly of negligence. The governing National Democratic Congress says it plans to outdoor its manifesto next month. In business, the Bank of Ghana has hinted plans to revise current rules for electronic transactions in the country, also known as the Electronic Money Issuers Guidelines. And the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers says about 139 centers in the recent limited voter registration exercise may have allowed unqualified persons onto the roll. In other news, the Keta Municipal Assembly is assuring performance of candidates in the upcoming BEC will improve. This follows years of a downward trend. Last year, only 36% of students in the municipality who sat for the exams got grades that can take them to the senior high school. The SASHIEME Basic School was the worst performing school in the municipality. None of the candidates passed the exam. Joy News' Joseph Opoku-Gakpo visited the school to explore what caused this problem and what will change going into this year's exam.
BEC pass rates in the Keta municipality have been declining over the years. In 2010, only 56% of students who sat for the exams had between aggregate 6 and 30. The pass rate has been hovering around 45 to 48% between 2011 and 2014, but recorded an all-time low of 36% last year. 4 schools recorded a pass rate of 0%, including the SASHIEME Basic School, which presented 26 candidates. Per the standards of rural communities here in the Volta region, this school, the SASHIEME Basic School, is actually one of those with the best infrastructure that you would find. Adequate numbers of school blocks, good classroom sizes, and adequate numbers of teachers. But out of the 89 schools in the entire district, this particular school came last when it comes to the rating when you look at the performance at the basic education certificate examination. The school actually scored 0%. What that means is that of all the candidates that were submitted for the exams, none of them got anything between aggregate 6 and aggregate 30. The headmaster of the school has been explaining what exactly has led to this problem.
I was surprised that my school got 0% this time. They were aiming at exam of practice to get a PO for their exam. So because of that, they misbehaved. They were indisciplined. They don't listen to teachers. When I organize instructors for them, they will not come.
Municipal Education Director Raphael Kojo Kwashi describes the situation as an irony because the school has one of the best educational facilities in the country.
We have adequate infrastructure and the teachers are also adequate. There is school feeding program here. So why then the poor performance? Majority of the concerns have been on the role the parents have failed to play as stakeholders to uplift education. And then the school children themselves, they were very boisterous, they were smoking weed, they were disrespectful, they were assaulting teachers. And we realized that that could be the main reason for the poor performance.
The teachers at the school blame poor attitude of students for the problem. Francis Kpoku is an English teacher.
The students themselves are not serious because sometimes you organize class for them to come free of charge. They don't come. And I can easily also blame my teachers. Some of the teachers don't report to school early.
The current batch of final year students here agree poor student attitude contributed to the poor performance. They are promising to do better.
They were unrespect to the teachers. They liked smoking too much. They don't take the advice of the teachers. Those are the causes. As for my batch, we are trying to change the 0% to 100%.
So that I read my books and learn hard and respect my teachers. I'll make sure that I'm in first position.
The education director outlines ongoing measures to improve upon performance this year.
Strengthen supervision. So we are empowering our secretary supervisors and the supervision department of the directorate. We are also retraining the heads.
School authorities remain confident a turnaround will be seen this year. For Joy News, Joseph Opokugapo, Keta Municipality.
Meanwhile, Keta Municipal Chief Executive Sylvester Tonyeva blames the situation on weak lower-level education in the municipality. He says in the long term, the Assembly will strengthen kindergarten education to ensure better performance. He's also been speaking on short-term plans for good grades in this year's BEC.
Yeah, actually, education is the mainstay of the people of Anglong. And since 2009, when I assumed office, we had a stakeholders conference at Lone to look at the development challenges of the municipality. And prominent in the discussion was the falling state of education and the need for all of us to join hands to arrest it. We identified the poverty level of the people because what happened in the 50s, 60s, 70s was because fishing activities, economic activities were flourishing, and our parents were able to educate our people. And because of the effect of the tidal waves and also the construction of the Volta Dam, which has actually reduced economic life of the people, education was badly affected. So one of the things we looked at was to establish Anglo Education Fund to raise some money to support education. Last year, we had a worst performance of 36%. That has.
Up next is entertainment.
22 low performance.
All right, time for entertainment, and yeah, Ms. G is not here. She told us all yesterday that she was going to Nigeria.
Yeah.
I believe she's in Nigeria. She must be
she
in Nigeria
is in
now.
Nigeria now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to some exclusives
Exactly,
when she
from
comes
her,
back.
yeah.
All right, so what's coming up tonight?
All right, so we have the movie Skinned that talks about skin bleaching, and I think I would want to dedicate that to, you know, your guess is as good as mine.
Bukumbang.
Obviously. He needs to see that movie. It's called Skinned, and Van Vika is actually the main character.
When are they premiering it?
Tonight. In fact, as we speak now, it's also happening at the Silverbird Cinemas.
Do you know if Bukumbang has been invited?
Not for real, but it's for me, I'm dedicating it to him, and so if he's not there at this moment,
you're telling him to go.
I'm telling him to go and watch. It's dedicated to him. He's got to see this one. He might learn new tricks, you know. But we caught up with Van Vika, who talks about the fact that the movie is on skin bleaching, and he's so passionate about that. And he also seizes the moment to also talk about the movie industry. For him, the industry is growing. He believes that now a lot more of the crew members are more professional and are more interested in making the movie industry more vibrant. Yeah.
I've had people, or I've overheard people accuse me of getting a role because I was light-skinned, and because they were dark-skinned, so they didn't get the role that they wanted, which I think is totally wrong. And because I think all this, we are all being professionals, and it's all based on what you can do and not what you really look like in terms of your skin tone.
What do you think is the future
of movies in Ghana? Are we getting there?
Ghana film industry is definitely growing. I've heard people say movies that were done in the 70s are far better than what we're doing now. I'm not in any way contesting what the prominent filmmakers said. I'm just saying, for me now, I think it's getting better by the day because producers, directors, actors are more professional nowadays. The perception is changing. It's not like we just want to go on set and shoot something. Everybody wants the best, except we still have this constraint when it comes to budget. So it restricts everybody in a way. You know, you try to cut corners here and there as you want the best quality, yet you want to shoot with the budget you've got.
I feel there's a story to tell here.
Looks like a well-produced one.
It looks like, and the fact that we also, there's a co-producer who came all the way from Hollywood to co-produce the movie, and she's down for the premiere. We also caught up and asked her about the movie, and she tells us that... Is she one
of the well-known producers?
No, not really, but she's so passionate about skin bleaching and the side effects. So she's also been sharing her reason why the movie is a must-watch.
Well, of course, because the movie is about skin bleaching, that is an epidemic all around the world, is a global issue. The self-esteem issue is always big. We fail to realize that people do these kinds of things to themselves because of low self-esteem. And so we put the packaging together where we talked about self-esteem along with skin bleaching. So for me, my inspiration was the portion of the film that talks about, you know, self-esteem, because I'm big on that. I really believe that sometimes our communities, our parents, our upbringing perpetuate the types of behaviors that says, oh, you're not beautiful enough, or you're too dark, or you're too light, or you're too skinny, you're too fat. And I believe that everybody is beautiful, and we are to love the skin that we're in.
How is she even qualified? She's light skinned.
All right, interesting views.
Sure, but you know, yesterday Ms. G mentioned that we're going to secure some exclusive from Ed Sheeran.
Oh yeah, Ed Sheeran, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, we kind of got the exclusive, but in a different light. So he wouldn't talk yet.
All right.
But we got these two ladies who actually were there yesterday just to grab a photo shoot experience with him, and he did not do that one. So they stood in the rain hoping that they would get to take some selfies with him.
Really?
And it never happened. But, well, today, perseverance, they got the opportunity to take the photos with him. And that was the only time we could also grab our exclusive, just by using our camera to grab him. Right,
hello, Happy. I'm here with your mates right now. Oh my God. We just wanted to say happy birthday and have a good day. And
I want to see that.
Sorry, you're in my shorts. I'm in your shorts? You have to take that.
don't tell anyone we're here. Like. Don't take the. Let's take the picture. Take the picture on a different background.
So, yes, he obviously wouldn't talk. Yeah, as I'm doing my thing, you can take your shots, but even that, not with a professional camera.
Right, but it's interesting that, you know, typically if you found, you know, a star like this, I mean, if he was somewhere in the UK and somebody chanced on him, everybody was going to,
definitely,
you know, be on him. But here in Ghana, maybe we're not that star crazy.
Perhaps, well, but because if you see these girls, they are not our regular Ghanaian girls, and they went there and really wanted to take a photo with him. So they went, stood in the rain, it didn't happen, they still did not give up. They went back today and they got a photo shoot. So, I mean, hey, congratulations to them.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to post it on social media. Like,
I am so sure, just like our own Becky would do.
and get so many likes for it. So that's cool.
Yes, but you know, Bishop Bob Okala is actually he has been laid in state as we talk now, and he's going to be buried tomorrow. Now, the last drive was around town from media house to media house, and so they stopped by in front of multimedia, and so we got to interact with his people, and also to find out from young comedians who were all, you know, accompanying the body, what memory he left with them and what the future is like for the memory of Bishop Bob Okala. So here's what they actually had to say.
of the comedians, someone like Santo and the others, but Bob Bishop Okala, that we have lost in the industry, we have mixed.
So how are you carrying on Okala's memory?
We will remember him by the way, you know, he dresses, put on those type of on his neck, and the way he stresses now for a longer time with a watch, sometimes heavier than what these people have for certain. So remember him with those styles.
Oh yeah, he's served us.
Yeah.
He's served this country quite
He
well.
did.
And,
He did.
As
He
somebody
did.
indicated earlier, laughter is the best medicine. And,
Sure. So
Bishop
now it makes
Okala
sense.
served quite a
Dr.
bit of
Bishop
that.
Okala, he actually did serve his people very well. Now, Izzy, before I go, ye who finds a crying husband finds her emotions. Have you heard that before?
No.
Well, then you can put my name there. You can put my name against that.
This
quote
one is not by Robert Mugabe.
No. This one I put my name there.
Gladys
Ye who
Redu.
finds a crying husband finds her emotions. That's exactly what
Gladys
happened.
Redu a few seconds ago.
Exactly, a few seconds ago. Because you see, there's this groom, Gabriel Deku, in London, who on his wedding day, when he saw his bride, Annabella, 24-year-old Annabella, walk down the aisle, and he just could not hold it back and actually broke down. And this one, he did not shed tears of joy. Perhaps it was cry of joy. And the interesting bit is that he had actually gone into a bet with his mom that as emotional as he is, he wasn't going to cry on his wedding day. And his mom said, I am putting you on that. It's a bet. If you do not cry, you make your mommy proud. But well,
oh, wow.
I'm sure she's the most let down mommy of all times. But of course, we have the footage and you can just help yourself. Yeah.
Let's watch it. I feel quite sorry for the
you
bride.
also got
actually.
emotional.
Yeah, because the bride also begins to want to shed tears.
But that's what I told you.
What would you do?
Yes.
If, you know, on your wedding day, I know you're already married, but
yeah,
if on your wedding your husband was going to cry.
But that's what I explained to you, that you who finds a crying husband finds her emotions. So if this is the bride who is too strong, I mean, she discovered that she also has to, you know, soften a bit to match her groom.
Would you have cried along?
Would I have cried along? I'm not sure. But if my husband is crying,
you're too tough to cry.
Yeah.
I don't see you crying.
I cry ionic tears, huh?
you may cry under some other circumstances.
Exactly, but not
when you're being married.
But you see, on the contrary, on your wedding dates, rather the bride who goes that emotional and the men are always, you know, up and looking all serious. This is a very modern style.
I don't get it.
All right, easy. Thank God it's Friday. Have a beautiful weekend.
I'm sure you're going to have loads of fun yourself.
Yeah, sure. The day started well, but you know, I always would say, don't do what I want.
But you're not going away. You're coming back for Journeys Interactive. So yeah. So Gladys is going to come back for Journeys Interactive. Please stay tuned. Gary Smith is up next with sports.
Entertainment news was brought to you by Airtel, the smartphone network.
All right, so the much anticipated Euros are underway, and Gary Smith just switched from radio to TV.
Yes,
right.
You may have heard me on radio like literally moments ago, and I'm here on TV, but well, that's the beauty of our job.
What's the...
France and Romania have started amazing opening ceremony.
Oh,
David Guetta was there to DJ and give some music, and they did the thing where they have a tifo, they call it the tifosi.
Okay.
Yes, they wrote something with the people there. So they had the flags of all the nations there just to put the message out there.
But they haven't started the game yet?
They started in the second half, 70 minutes, 1-1.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
Right, you carry on with
all right, so we'll get highlights of the Euros shortly. Hi, I'm Gary Smith. Thank you for joining us on the news on Prime. And first of all, Hazakers are in the news. Their coach, Yusuf Basigi, has demanded better performances from his team in the second round of the Ghana Premier League. As you may know, they bought key players, including Eric Bequin, but they've not been firing on all cylinders.
We are not happy. We want to get out of there as soon as possible before we think of maybe getting into the top 4. We must first and foremost leave the 11th position and get a respectable position before we think of, well, it is my wish we are among the top 4, but it looks like I'll be over ambitious. That is why I've been cautious here by saying that we want to at least get out of where we are to a respectable position.
The Ghana Premier League resumes on the 26th of June. In athletics, the National Athletic Circuit Championships are this weekend, and ahead we've been previewing all what's going to happen tomorrow in Cape Coast. Gemma Champong is confident of impressing and getting her times in new national records.
Last year, I feel like I got to African Games and I was very tired and run down, and I wasn't able to get to the point where I felt like I could compete with the people there. But this year I feel much better. I feel like I can go and run a new personal best time and hopefully even qualify for the Olympics. I'm trying to focus on the relay this Saturday, and I'm hoping to work with my teammates and get our qualifying time for the Olympics there. Well, I joined the team 2 years ago, and I feel like I know who's on the team pretty well. For our relay, we've had a couple people come and go, but I know Flings and Janet very well. So, and I practiced about a couple weeks ago with Flings individually, so I'm very comfortable with her, and I'm just hoping to get even more comfortable while I'm here and get our exchanges down.
All right, so that's it for the athletics. You can get updates all through this weekend on myjoyonline.com sports page. However, in the Euros, like I said, France and Romania are currently playing, and it's 1-1 in that one, but this weekend's fixtures are this way.
Euro 2016 is in full swing from Saturday, with 6 games coming to you live over the weekend. On Saturday, Albania and Switzerland face off. Then Wales tackle Slovakia before England begin their campaign with a clash against Russia. International football continues on Sunday as Turkey battle Croatia, Poland face Northern Ireland, and Germany take on the Ukraine.
Right, one of the countries and the games we'll be looking out for this weekend is Turkey versus Croatia. Croatia are led by Luka Modric and Turkey by Arda Turan. Real Madrid versus Barcelona, kind of.